Matt, before we get going, we like to be safe. I just want to make sure that I see you don't have a mask on, which generally when we're on when we're on YouTube, we got to wear a mask. I just want to make sure you've had your daily booster.
Oh, yeah. No, safety first. That's our motto here in LA all the time. So generally, if you're not up to date on your boosters, put on a mask or 2 or 3. That's the recommendation, just so we don't get, sick through the computer screens. But yeah, safety first, Garland.
All right, there you go. Lately, I just go with at night with an IV, and I just do a booster the whole time I'm sleeping. And when I get up in the morning, I'm ready to go. All right, let's get rolling, Matt. Let's get started with a couple of things that I know you've been working on. The No Kings protest. Like I said, they won before they started. Isn't that great? We don't have any kings. They've already got what they asked for. I understand you were wandering the streets of the No Kings protest, Mark. Fill us in. How great was it?
Yeah, no, we had to go check it out here in LA. It was one of the places they said, come on out. This is a chance to save democracy again. And I got to say, look, there's a lot of good intentioned people that come out, especially the older crowd. They're very, they mean well, a lot of emotion. But if you go up to any of them, which we do, we talk to them and we ask them, why are you here? And it's, stop Trump. Hitler Trump, Emperor Trump, we have to dethrone him. And you say, well, what's the plan? Or more clearly, what's the demands? And they don't know what the demands are. And as we know, is understanding how protests work, how activism works, how bottom up movements work. You've got to have a list of demands, or it's just emotion. And I think that's the point. It's not that they missed the boat or they're not that bright. It's that they were captured to come out and using their emotions against them. And like you're indicating here, Garland, there's nothing being accomplished except continuing the left versus right facade and making people think that they've accomplished something, when really, when you ask them so you want to take Trump out, are you ready for President Vance? I don't think they've thought that part through. And then there's so much hypocrisy involved here, because why is NATO funding this thing? Why are these billionaire classes funding this thing? Why do I see no signs that say, let's challenge the war machine, let's challenge the military-industrial complex? And you don't see any of that. But again, that's by design. The message is Trump, evil orange man, stop him. And there's no other thought beyond that. And that's a sad thing, because like I said, these people, they do mean well, but they're just a little, scattered. That's the best I could say.
And that has been, to me, that is the regime change system. That's the color revolution system. And that is, you go to a country where the people are, legitimately unhappy. As an example, Venezuela. Well, you sanction away 99% of their oil income, and you say to the people, boy, you sure are suffering in Venezuela. It sure is rough. Wouldn't you like things to change? You should go out to the street. In fact, here's some signs. And those signs just happen to have like U.S. flags, UK flags. Go out there and stand up against Maduro, or whatever the case may be. So to me, this is standard regime change. It is bring the people together, give them the illusion that they're standing up for something, and they mean well, and they feel good. But in the end, they have really accomplished nothing. And I suspect this will turn into, now we've all been doing that. Now it's time to vote for the same super pro-Zionist AIPAC puppet Democrats. It's going to turn into a get out the vote game where they can go, everybody that was there, of course they've Palantir is, looking at their phones to find out who's there and where they're going. No, and that's not a joke. And then on they go to marshal these people to some other evil deed to which they have no idea they're being marshaled.
Well, yeah, no, this is the part that they're missing, and that's, again, it's by design. They half the people out there, more than half the people, they've never even heard of Palantir. They have no idea that is the technology being used against all of us. Even the ICE raids, we talk about the ICE raids, and I have to at least give them credit for that. We did see a few of the signs that say, stop ICE, which is you're onto something there. But do you understand that's the same technology being used to surveillance all of us, not just people that are coming into our country, but us too. This is being used against all American citizens. Plus, it's the same technology being used to target Palestinians and do our duplicitous actions in the Middle East. So it's the same technology, the same functionality, and it doesn't make a difference whether it's Biden or Harris or Trump. That's the face of the operation. These are the companies, these are the people in power behind the scenes that are controlling all of our policy. And if you really want to be part of a march, if you really want to be part of a people's movement, go to London and protest against digital IDs. That's a real protest. That's what, and people who don't even know that is going on. And that's something where you could actually bring both sides together and challenge the oligarchy together as a real populist movement. But it's going to take some time. You got to plant seeds with people and start these conversations, a little bit at a time.
Speaking of the ICE raids and the issue of immigration, which is a legitimate issue, you don't have a country if you don't have a border. But to me, that takes us right to the issue of Venezuela, because Donald Trump, oh, well, yes, we're going to address immigration. Oh, he's going to address it all right. You start a war in the country of Venezuela, which is roughly the size of Germany and France combined, with 30 million people in it. How many people are going to show up to the border? How many war refugees by the million? Donald Trump, oh, we got to stop immigration. We got to do everything we can for immigration. But yet, I'm going to do the very thing that drives immigrations and refugees. And might I add, if Donald Trump gets his war started and millions, which they would, of immigrations from Venezuela and other areas in the other countries in the region show up, when they apply for refugee status under international law, they'll have a legitimate case because they'll be fleeing a conflict. So what we see is the ruling elite that tell us that they're the firemen always end up being the people who started. They're the arsonists. Your thoughts?
I mean, this is the same formula we've seen way back when the war on terror started. We understand that you have to create the fear factor, tell people that it's weapons of mass destruction. So this is the new weapons of mass destruction. You can't accuse Venezuela of weapons of mass destruction. So you have to make up the cartel problem and say illegitimate president running this dangerous cartel, with no mention of the fact that we're funding it. How interesting, because it's like kind of reminds us how we funded Al Qaeda and ISIS. So it's the same idea. You build up the thing, you create the fear factor, and you justify your military action. And so we're seeing this happen again. And I would tell people that are all about let's take Trump out. Ask yourself this: why do you think the media, the mainstream, is not trying to make Trump look bad for Venezuela? Well, there's a reason, because it would be very easy to do. All you'd have to do is say Trump just murdered 6 more people out in the Caribbean with no apparent reason. If you wanted to talk about no kings, why not add that? They don't want to talk about that because they're all in on this plan to make Venezuela the next target. And you use the drug cartel as the excuse, the thing the CIA funds. It's all, so this is a pattern. And so we can try telling people this, and they don't really know what to say back. Like, why won't CNN be covering this? Because they're in on it too. Protect the military-industrial complex, protect American imperialism. And as you're talking about, Garland, it makes so much sense. We are creating the border crisis on purpose, and this keeps things very unstable on the home front, and it keeps people divided, confused, and afraid. The system works very well. I mean, this. So I'll add this. We like to say things like this system's broken, it doesn't work. Well, no, it actually is working just as intended for the oligarchy, for the people in power, keeping us confused, separated, and scared. It's actually working precision-wise. It's actually working very well. And Venezuela is the next target, and there's going to be enough people that believe this and say, let's get them, let's take out Maduro.
As the Zionists continue the savage murder of innocent civilians in Gaza, and now, of course, they're bombing Lebanon, they're bombing anywhere there's innocent civilians. They seem to be happy to drop their bombs to kill the innocents. But additionally, something I'd like to ask you about, since you're in ground zero of the media up in Hollywood. Benjamin Netanyahu mentions an eighth front. An eighth front. You got 7 wars. That's 7 too many, but he has an eighth front, which is the United States, which is the brains of the West. And now Larry Ellison's TikTok, CBS News, Barry Weiss is up to her evil deeds. Your thought about what's happening with this attempted media takeover, or maybe even successful media takeover by the rabid Zionists?
They've been fairly successful at this, Garland, and it's been a step process. And like you said, Netanyahu calls this the 8 the eighth front for him, and he's very vocal about it. He talks about we got TikTok, we're working on Twitter. We just got to nudge Elon, but we've seen what happened with TikTok. We've seen that there's people that no longer they've had their entire their entire thing is gone. Their channels have been taken down. They can't share things anymore. And we're talking about sharing things. What is the stuff that they're trying to get rid of? Anybody challenging Israel. So you talk about the Hollywood machine of the way you get people really captured is in storytelling. So what happens here in Hollywood is that you have these studios that have already been captured by the Israeli lobby. These films, they're not just greenlit and approved by the CIA, by the Mossad. They actually partake in the scripts, in the what are we trying to say in this film? Top Gun is a very good example of that. Top Gun Maverick, that was a CIA film to manufacture consent for the bombing of Iran. So we saw that just in the chronological order of that happening. They use Hollywood as a tool to do the storytelling, and that manufactures consent. So what we're seeing right now with Larry Ellison buying up all of these studios. I mean, we're talking about Paramount, CNN, MTV. He's got a hand in all of them, and just looking what he's doing on Paramount TV right now. We have these projects being presented that are all about giving people the wrong impression about what happened on October 7th. I mean, how are they able to hold on to this narrative and confuse so many people? It's telling these type of stories, these heroic stories of stopping Hamas and the brave Israelis that stood up that day. So this is the type of stories that are getting greenlit. You're not going to see the other side being told, and if you do see them, those filmmakers are punished. Those filmmakers are hunted down. Those filmmakers are not given the platform and the space to be vocal and to be treated in an honest way. So this war has been going on for so many years here in Hollywood, and again, the reason they're doubling down now is because the narrative is harder for them to hold on to. So they have to go even further with capturing these studios right now. But the good news is, and I'll say this, there are artists right now speaking up more than we've ever seen before. We had this petition that went around. There's at least 1,400 actors and crew members that have signed this that are basically saying we are boycotting being part of any Hollywood production, any studio that is in affiliation that is working with any Israeli-backed company. So that's any part of the filmmaking process, whether it's editing or distribution, any sort of company that's involved with Israel. They said we are not going to be partaking in that, and that's a good thing. So this battle is getting harder, but again, the good news is more people are being vocal than we've ever seen before in the industry.
Well, the bad news, I think they found a way around that. They've got this AI actress now, Tilly something or other. What's the name of the AI
Tilly
actress?
Norwood. Yeah.
Tilly Norwood,
Yeah.
Literally an AI creation that they are booking for movies. So, you know what? I got a funny feeling Tilly Norwood ain't gonna be pushing back against Zionism. Before we go, something that you have been working on, and I want to get the latest update on the clearly. We had a lone wolf, trans activist, quick change artist with a very weak and slow 30-6 round that performed all kind of magical feats. What is the latest update on the Charlie Kirk assassination?
This one we've been following very closely the entire way, and it seems like all of the questions we've been asking have been the right questions, and it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that it's not just Candace Owen doing the good investigation. We have Max Blumenthal's doing some great work, James Lee. We have people coming from all sides that are saying this FBI that the MAGAs were so excited about, they are captured. How do we know this? Well, we had a firsthand look at it with the Epstein files that magically disappeared. So you can see how Kash Patel is running the same blueprint of we looked into it, nothing to see here. So as far as Charlie Kirk goes, yes, the last thing that we're hearing from Kash Patel, as the sweat's going down his forehead and he's looking like a deer in headlights, he's telling us that the public will no longer be part of this process. We will be giving all the evidence in a closed room, looking forward to this jury selection, and everything's going to be hush hush. Don't worry, we are looking at everything. But in the meantime, stop it with your conspiracy theories. And that's the messaging. This is how you bully the people that are asking the questions. We have a whole list of evidence that is not being looked at, just a ton of it. We're talking about a paper trail of timestamps that don't line up with Tyler Robinson. We're talking about, I mean, you and I, we've talked about this text message problem that just came out of nowhere and doesn't make any sense. There's no follow-up on that. We got so many, there's camera footage that was confiscated. No sign of that. We got a crew that was called in to clean up the crime scene within the first 24 hours. Nothing there. So it's very clear that Kash Patel is part of this mechanism, that their job is to hide what really happened, shame people who are trying to look into it, and then just move on. And I think that this is a formula that people want to break right now. So. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. We've been talking with Matt Weinglass. He's a documentary filmmaker, director. He's a producer and all that stuff, and he hosts The Homeless Left. You can find that on Rumble. You can find at THL Presents on YouTube. Are those are the only two platforms you're on, Matt?
Yes, those YouTube are the two main ones. You can also find us on Twitter. You can find me, Matt Weinglass, on Twitter as well. Yes.
All right. Keep up the great work, Mike. Matt does a lot of great work. And don't forget, if you haven't had your booster today, then that means you got to get 2 tomorrow because they're safe and effective.